Good day, and thank you for tuning in to this week's episode with the Real Talks with Doc. And if you haven't already, please subscribe, like, and turn on those post notifications. Very important. If you find this content as being meaningful, aspiring, or adding any contribution to your real estate development experiences, please comment below. We'd love to hear from you.
Good morning.
Good morning, Kay.
You gotta introduce Mario.
Who's Mario?
The guy sitting next to you.
Guy sitting next to me. Yeah. Hey, so yeah, you know, it's fun to have jokes. You gotta laugh at least 20 times a day. So yeah, this episode is very, very special. I hope it's one that goes down for the ages because Doc has done something to take this company to another level. We have brought in not only a beloved initial investor, but also someone who is very astute, very smart, very committed and loyal to making sure that what we come here to do every day is actually executed with consistency, and that's making sure that every client we serve, we give them the elite experience, whether it's through real estate, whether it's through construction, whether it's through our consulting services, that every client that we're privileged to serve, we give them the elite experience. That's just our mantra, period. And Mario has subscribed to that culture. He has changed careers. He has purchased equity into the company to now be our new Chief Executive Government Contract Officer. So without further ado, I introduce you to the Mario Tyrone Simpson. This is a funny episode, so just let it roll. So look, I've never been sick in my life until 2021 when I caught the 4th case of COVID. Like literally I had COVID 4 times. I tested positive. First 3 times I was still walking around like a soldier. Shook it off. Didn't feel that. 4th time, man, they had me at VA hospital, hemmed up, man. I was praying for my life. Never felt so bad before. First time I've ever in my life been hospitalized. That strain of COVID, I don't know if it was the B56 version or whatever it was, that was vicious. And then Super Bowl weekend. Thank a lot of y'all for your invites. I always appreciate that because sometimes y'all got to charge it to my heart, not my hustle. But, I couldn't even go to a Super Bowl, not a single Super Bowl party, Super Bowl weekend, because I was in the bed for 3 consecutive days with the flu. Now, I don't know what virus that was. That might have been the Dragon Ball Z57 virus. But, man, that thing, it was vicious. And now I'm getting over it. Just got this last cough, so if I cough through this, bear with me. But, man, I just wanted to share that with you all and let y'all know, be safe out there, because this virus is going around, this flu virus. This strand, man, this is a vicious strand. So 2 times in my entire life, ever been sick. And the second time, Super Bowl weekend, go Eagles, got the W. I'm not going to say, let me just leave all that alone. But nevertheless, Mario, glad to have you here, brother.
Thank you for that.
So you've been here now.
Wonderful long introduction.
Almost a year.
No. He always liked to speed up my time.
Time seems like it goes by so fast when you're having a good time.
7 fun-filled months.
7 months. I mean, you 1 month over the halfway mark. So yeah. So Mario, the cool thing about these shows, man, they're really organic. Kay give me topics. We do these live events. Sometimes people log in and they ask questions real time. But for now, we're shooting this episode for this week, and Kay will shoot some questions at us. And this is all about giving back to the community, giving back to people that know us, like us, trust us, as well as people who've never met us, but like us and trust us through following our content. Kay, what is our social media platform that has the biggest number of followers? Is it TikTok? How many followers are at right now?
Like 24 point something.
All right, so we getting ready to break the 25,000 mark. That is good because, guys, I'm not a social media person. Again, I got to give credit to Kay, who keeps all of this content coming to you all every week, every day. But more importantly, my level of involvement I'm really proud of is to be able to give you all information that through probably reading 2 to 3 books a month, being out here experiencing it, having the failures so that we all can get to success even faster, that really gives me pride and a sense of service to be able to give you all whatever information we can in whatever capacity we can so we can make your venture that much easier. So Mario, we're gonna just dive in and again, just answer where you see value so that, we can continue to give to our audience. So Kay, what you got for us?
Well, should I introduce myself?
Oh, absolutely. We ain't even let them get into it. So go ahead and introduce yourself.
Well, thank you briefly for the introduction. As Doc said, I was a long-time investor with the company before purchasing an equity partnership or equity stake in the company last year. I first started as an investor in 2017. Took an old 401k, rolled that into the company and liked the returns, and so gave some more. Hadn't really followed the company on a deeper level other than, my interest in my investment. Doing my own thing in the government space. I started my own independent consulting company, was on site supporting the government, rolled off of a job last February and was like, hey, explore this opportunity with Doc. So here I am to help the company, as he says, share a little knowledge, focused on the government contracting side. So questions on that, or if you have information you want to share with me on that, anything that's going to help me do my job better for us to grow as a company in that government space, I'm open to. So thank you for having me on this live chat today.
No, thank you. So some of the questions I already know that's buzzing around our listeners' head is, how do you go from becoming an investor of a company to an equity owner in that company? Like, how does one do something like that?
Good question. A lot of back and forth negotiation, a lot of just trust and seeing the progress of the company over the last 7 years. The Doc said your payments will be guaranteed if you put them here. In the market, stock market, it fluctuates up and down. You can't guarantee anything, and the interest rates he promised me were the interest rates that I received. Over the years, just kind of like I said, rolled in some old 401ks before I knew it. I had invested a little bit of chunk of change with you all. So when the offer was extended to come on as the Chief Executive Government Officer to grow out the government sector and also buy a stake in the company, again, I saw the value in what the company has been doing over the last years. I was a satisfied investor. And so it just kind of, I was looking for a transition in my career as well, kind of get out of the government space and use more of my entrepreneurial spirit. So it just made sense.
So, let's get Elon Musk messy. How about that, Kay? So you all know Doc's hustle and grind. 3:30 every a.m. getting up. Kay starting these shoots at sometimes 5:45 a.m. And Elon Musk said that government employees are lazy and they don't do anything. And Mario's coming from the government. And in construction, he said anybody dealing with the government is lazy and don't do anything except him and Donald Trump. That's what Elon Musk said, right? And Mario's coming from the government. So is he lazy and doesn't do anything? And how does a lazy person coming from the government that doesn't do anything come into a construction company that's rocking and rolling at any given time, 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, working sometimes at 10, 11 o'clock at night? How has that transition been for you? And has it been a transition, or is all of that just nonsense and gibberish? Like, people want to know.
Yeah, good question. 80% of it is nonsense.
Okay, 80%. So 20% of it is not. Okay.
I will say it has been a transition for me. I also worked in spaces where work could only be done at work. So now, working longer hours, taking work home has been a shift. I will say. There's also longer due dates for projects in the government space. Whereas we're dealing with clients, their homes could be personal safety. That's an everyday thing. I was more so on, again, larger software development contracts that were 3 years long. You had your milestones. more of a waterfall type of delivery. We did agile development, but it was really still, you still had your major milestones and a lot slower pace. But I wouldn't say lazy, but definitely not the pace of the construction world. Definitely not the pace of having to get out and hustle and find the next, person that's looking to build, find the next, house for us to build or next government contract. It's definitely more work in that aspect, and it has been adjustment per se. So, I've been working to find that work-life harmony that does exist. And after 7 months, I haven't gotten quite there yet because I'm still learning different aspects of the company. But I'm close. I'm like 85% there.
Okay, I'm turning the show back over to you. I just knew there were some buzzing questions that, as Mario gave his great intro, people just, they had these buzz questions like, I wonder this, I wonder that. So I just wanted to ask those preliminary questions.
All right, so breaking into real estate development, we're continuing the conversation. Mario, you mentioned that you were an investor with Tebow, and so I'm interested in how that works for those who are also interested in potentially having a partnership like that. Like, how did that work out for you all? How did you start get into that?
So it's, there's this saying that, when the stars align, you got to be in alignment with that opportunity. I never in a million years thought any of our investors would be coming in with an executive position in the company. Our ultimate goal is to grow this company to $100 million by 2030. So we got less than 5 years to do that. And one thing I learned as a CEO is that I cannot get there by myself. I have to bring in other like-minded executives who are not only like-minded, but also are smarter than me and have a different skill set in other aspects of the company and areas of the company that can also grow that arm of the company tenfold so that we can get to this 100 million. So when Mario was talking about, him just wanting a career change, being tired of being in the skiff all day, man, I would go crazy. I could never be in one room all day sitting at a computer. I'm severely ADHD. I just couldn't do it, right? So I kind of I couldn't even relate, but I just man, that's something to probably make you want to take a pencil and go through an eyeball or something like that. But nevertheless, I knew we had a huge void in the government space. Ironically, the first contract we ever wrote on in the government was a federal contract. It was a multi-million-dollar contract. Never wrote on a contract before, and we won it. It was it was just one of those things where at the right time we just said we're gonna put all our energy in this. We're gonna go after this contract, and we won it. And it was a great contract here at Joint Andrews Air Force Base. A great contract. Took about 2 years to complete the contract, maybe a little over 2. But nevertheless, after that, I'm like, man, there's just a huge opportunity that we're missing in being able to provide great construction services for our government, whether it's on the state, local, or federal level. And I would always get sucked into CEO stuff. I always get sucked into new build stuff. I always get sucked into our residential renovations, because that time that you have to look at government contracts and make sure it's a good fit and make sure you have the qualifications and minimum requirements, it takes time, and I was just one person. So when Mario started talking about this, I'm like, whoa, years in the government, MBA, okay, he might be the guy that can come in and grow out our government department. And literally, I approached him with it. He initially wanted to come in only a salary, and I'm like, no, man, with somebody with this kind of responsibility and this vision that I have for the company, we're going to have to figure something else out. And that's where, we started talking about equity positions and buying a percentage of the company so that I know he's well vested for the X number of years. And that was, a process. I'll let Mario tell you more about it now. He looked at it from his point of view. But that's how we got to that point, an investor who believed in the company, who saw the returns that the company gave him, and who was just exploring opportunities, right? And, luckily the stars aligned for us at the right time, and we saw the opportunity, and we're here. So, Mario, I'll let you tell them about it from your perspective and how we went from investor to you being in the government all of these years, to you now being sitting here not only as the chief executive government contracting officer, but also an equity partner in the company.
Yeah. Thanks for that. And It was something I definitely had to think about. I had started my own consulting company in the government space, and I had a goal to hang up the badge, the green badge, those, working the space, you know what I mean, by what year is this? 2025. So by 2029, I wanted to hang up the green badge and no longer work in the space. I started the company and I wanted to passively grow it. Meaning, folks who were interested in working for a smaller company didn't want to work for a large company and deal with all the politics, trying to advance in their career and so on, but wanted to work, support the government space still, and make a decent salary. So switching, coming over here, it checked some of those boxes for me. It checked, growing a company. It checked building a culture. It checked the box of, still being able to do some of those things that I want to do for my own company, but now as being an owner of a company that I was already an investor with. And so that just made it a lot easier to come over. After that, it was just the negotiations of salaries and those terms of being here. Because again, after I hung up that badge, I wanted to just retire and not work anymore. So I had like a 4 or 5 year plan, stack as much as possible, and then working somebody's Walmart, handing out smiley faces. Right? That's what I wanted to do. So coming over here, I had to, kind of rethink that 5 year plan. Initially this was a 10-year commitment to grow to 10 million. We've since, rescaled that back to 5 because, with some of the things that we will be launching over the next year and this year, it's definitely doable. But that was an adjustment for me to think about, giving up the guaranteed salary every month, right, that I knew I was going to get for billing only 40 hours a week to now working 60 hours a week, and really going after the business, right, true business development, and not having that safety net of, oh, I'm on a contract, I know what I'm getting every year. So it was definitely a mental shift, and I had to dust off some cobwebs or some skills that I hadn't used in a while because I was comfortable and I was safe, and get my hustle back. And so that's where we're at.
That's awesome. So with you two now stepping into, because I guess we can just turn this into how to break into government contracting. Right? So let's jump into that. Like, how does that work? Like, what are some things that you all consider, and how does that camaraderie how do those two partnerships now come together to, scout?
Well, it's a 1-2 punch, right? And we're still learning our strengths and skill sets so we can best play off of one another. I still come in as a construction technical expert, where for the government contract component, there's always that construction part where you're writing the construction budget, you're writing the construction execution, you're writing the construction master schedule. But there's also those technical components of it and making sure that you write the application and complete the application as instructed, and you make sure you have the right information that's going to put your company in the best light when you're competing against other government contracting entities. Mario has also come in now in terms of making sure we have our CBE, our DBE, our SWAM, our 8A that he's working on, so that we can also be good construction partners in the government space for prime contractors who do not have those designations and those set-asides, or therefore minority companies that may have disadvantages because they're just now getting into the government space, they're just now getting on that land scene, and they need to have an equitable, fair shot at these contracts as well. So we're figuring that out in that 1-2 punch to make sure that we pack a heavy punch, and it's been working well so far.
Yeah, it's been great so far. I do a lot more of the coordinating with externals, right? Your subs and all that, making sure they're on board with a proposal that we plan to submit, making sure it's formatted. The sourcing part has been the biggest challenge. Just what sites do you go to find these things? Keeping up to date once they make an amendment, right? You can't just go out there one time and think you get everything, because amendments can roll out any time, and they don't have an obligation to tell you that there's an amendment, right? You just have to periodically check the site. So It's been an adjustment, definitely. You know, I focus on that sourcing aspect a little bit more so that we're, you know, in the know and we don't miss important deadlines. But yeah, it's been great so far. It's been a work in progress, and we're moving in the right direction.
So I know we have some inquiring minds. Well, what contracts y'all want already that we can talk about? I be hearing the energy come through, the questions and the atmosphere. Well, if you go to the City of Cumberland, Maryland website, it'll take you to the City of Cumberland website, and there's a search bar in the upper right-hand corner. Just put in Tebow Residential, T-E-A-B-O-W Residential, and it'll take you to a government contract that we won with the City of Cumberland, where we're developing 22 lots. And we're developing anything from duplexes to condominiums to single-family homes to townhome communities at Maryland Avenue. And you can follow our development there. We just had our first red ribbon cutting ceremony with the city about a week ago, last Friday, as a matter of fact. Was it Friday?
No,
Valentine's Day, delivering our first set of new build duplexes to the city, whom has not seen new build construction in over 33 years. It's crazy. Beautiful city that sits in the valley of the mountains. But if you want to just, you know, follow our development and kind of get a feel for, you know, the beauty that you experience and the joy of fulfilling a part of a government contract and working directly with the city government officials. Mayor Ray, great guy. Shout out to Mayor Ray up there in the City of Cumberland. We love you. Him and his cabinet. That's something that, you know, you can go follow and see what the ordinance agreement looks like. So again, if you want to go after those kind of contracts, there's a template there for you to see what's in those contracts so that you can, you know, have as much success as possible.
So, like, what are some challenges that you all faced internally and externally with building in Cumberland and preparing for this project?
So if people don't know, Cumberland is about 2 hours and 15 minutes away from center of DC. So one of the challenges is just, you know, logistics-wise, traveling that far. You know, our crews do sacrifice going up there every week, sacrifice from being from their families Monday through Thursday or Monday through Friday. That's been one challenge. The other one is, you know, trying to hire in the city of Cumberland. We do have an effort. We make an effort to hire locals there. You know, we had a couple come and not work out.
4 to be exact.
Oh, okay. And then thirdly, I think the other challenges is on the financial standpoint of just getting, without having any new residential development over 30 years, just getting the locals there to see the value of new build construction, and them to fund it and back it with their dollars. They want to see the development, but we're waiting to see how it does first. So that's just been some of the challenges.
Yeah, and one of the things that we've been very fortunate in is that, you know, we employ our construction crew, so we're not at the mercy of, like most construction companies, they sub out everything. And we're able to, you know, provide housing for our construction workers to go up there and successfully complete a full work week and then come back and be with their families on the weekend. Another challenge that we didn't talk about is just making sure, most importantly, that we still provide the same level of services with our local clients here in Washington, D.C., Maryland, Beltway area, Virginia, while also being spread, you know, thin all the way almost 2.5 hours away on a daily basis. So just being very mindful of that and making sure that our clients still know that they have that same level. Because our clients follow us on social media too. And they be like, hey, Doc, you ain't get back to me as fast. You must be in Cumberland. So, you know, they be trying to call us out and, you know, yeah, But yeah, so, you know, it's just making sure that we stay mindful of those things to, again, always be delivering an elite experience for all of our clients.
And so what are some positives? Tebow is in the business of revitalizing areas and even within their clients who are building new homes. So, like, what are some positives that you all have experienced with this project?
It's a beautiful thing to, you know, to sincerely, with the utmost gratitude, know that you're giving back to distressed communities. I mean, it's just a rewarding thing that money cannot fulfill, that whoever, you know, material things cannot fulfill. that you're really having an impact on, lower socioeconomical communities. And it's a beautiful thing. Building new relationships. When you can call the mayor on your phone and he picks up like a friend, that's a powerful thing. One day the mayor may become governor, may become president, who knows, right? But to have those city government relationships that they know that we deliver on time, we deliver a superior product, we are a company of integrity that care about the community, those lead to bigger contracts. When they start to bring Sportsplex to the city of Cumberland as this new bill now starts to attract a new resident, they think about Tebow, and that becomes a very powerful, beautiful, rewarding thing when you just do right by the business relationship, that more business will always come when you put the relationship first. So we're really creating some great relationships in the city.
That was my number one thing. When we go up there, everyone is always very friendly, very kind. And you say Tebow, they smile, open arms right away. So just those relationships that are being developed are I think it's like Doc said, priceless. Yeah, and it's going to be I think when I look at Cumberland, I think of maybe a small Annapolis. It's all coming. They've just renovated their downtown. They have some great things that they're looking to do, and it feels good to be part of a company that's on the forefront of making all that happen. So.
They need a ski resort there, because every time I look up in the mountains sitting in the city, I'm like, man, you bring a ski resort here, put Cumberland on the map. And they got some steep slopes, because I be looking at the mountains and they be having power lines cut through there, man. I'm like, man. So anybody out there with deep pockets who want us to do the construction and you want to build a ski resort in Cumberland, let's connect. I'm putting that out there in the universe so that does not come back void.
Awesome. So as a developer, like I'm sure some people want to know, as a developer coming into communities and having these experiences, how does Tebow be very intentional about, making sure that the community understands what's taking place as a developer in these types of communities y'all are building in?
Well, if you're going to be a part of the community, you got to go to the community. The first thing we did before we even had one project under construction is that we first wanted to make sure that we have full support of the city. And in having full support of the city, how do we have access to those that's going to be impacted? And Mayor Ray gave us full access to all the schools, fire department, police department, and him giving access, we put in the work. I remember, one morning me and Mario left here like 3 o'clock in the morning because we had to be at the police station doing their shift, which was like 6 in the morning. So, you do the math, you want to make sure you don't run into nothing crazy. So we're on the road 3 o'clock to make sure that we're at shift changes at 6 a.m. so we can talk to the police department. So we have spoken to the entire police department, to the entire fire department, the entire EMS department. We have spoken to the local middle school, high school, and elementary school, letting them know that we were in town, letting them know that what we were doing, the vision in which we were in alignment with the mayor and his office, and letting them know that we were truly there to answer any questions and to also be of service in any way that we could to the public constituents of the city of Cumberland, who are the ones that are making sure the city of Cumberland is operating on a day-to-day basis. So we put in that work, and we went and met with all of these individuals on our own accord to just let them know that we're there, we're engaging, and we're open to any feedback. We're open to any comments that they may have in terms of things that we can do better. And mind you, there have been a lot of comments, right? And then just putting in that work, and again, coming from a place of contribution, we had done all of those things.
And the other thing we did too is some of those locations where we were going to break ground, we spoke to neighbors, right? Yeah. Let them know, what was coming, what we were building.
Knocked on doors in this time. We was knocking on people's doors broad daylight in the city of Cumberland.
So yeah, just so they knew what was coming.
Unafraid, knocking, just making sure no shotguns, no crazy stuff. Lord protect us, Jesus. Just knocking. And the funny thing is, everybody was friendly. Yeah. Like everybody opened the door, they talked to us, and it was interesting.
All right, right, that's awesome. So going into government contracting, then we're gonna close out. What are some things that you would tell a construction company to consider as they're moving forward in these government contracts? How to prepare? What are some things they need to have in place? What are some things that y'all didn't realize y'all didn't have in place? How can you help someone looking to do the same?
Yeah, so I say the number one thing that you want to have in place, especially if you're a small company, is just have those all of those certifications for set asides completed and submitted and have those done, because those are going to help you. Those are going to help position you, help so that you're not competing against the big guys. The second thing I would say that you want to do is just find your niche, right? There's so many contracts out there. The search and discovery phase can be very daunting and tedious, but you have to figure out what categories, what criteria you're going to search on and stick to that, right? Don't waver outside of it, because at that point you're just wasting time. All right, so find your niche, really narrow it down. We stick within a 3-hour radius when we're looking for contracts at the federal, local, and state level. So it's and we try to really be, and we also picked a magnitude or a price point that we're also looking for in contracts too. So anything above that, I just skip. Right. Once we get a number of those under our belt, we'll broaden that the scope. But right now, that figuring out what that criteria is for you, figuring out your niche, and really honing in is one of the things I would say to do to start out.
Anything from a development standpoint, Doc?
Knowing your capacity. You should always be ambitious, think big, dream big, and go big, but know that you can handle big. The one thing you don't want to do is win a government contract and not have the capacity. So from a development standpoint of view, once you are truthful about knowing that you have the capacity to execute the job, the next most important thing in executing the job is making sure that you got the financial bandwidth to carry the job, because the government can be real sketchy in how they pay, and you're still going to be responsible for making sure that you can carry the labor, the trade partners, the material to get to that first draw, and not have that be a hindrance in terms of you performing in a timely manner, because they can also hit you with liquidated damages. So you just need to understand from a development point of view, a construction point of view, a GC or a prime is what they call it point of view, that number one, you got the capacity, and number two, you got the financial bandwidth to carry that project. Worst case scenario, something happens and the payment doesn't come in as scheduled, but you still have to be responsible for making sure that you complete that project at the stated deadline and not go beyond that. So that if you can just always keep that in mind, that's the first and most important thing to keep you out of trouble in terms of performance on these government contracts.
Okay, awesome. So that's good. I'm not gonna hold y'all long today. Hopefully we can get y'all sat down sooner than later again. But before we close, we like to close with some words of wisdom. So we would love to hear from both of you with some words of wisdom for those who are in real estate, in life, whatever. What are some things that you can just throw out there to encourage someone?
Growth. That's my word for the day. And how do we expound on growth? Everything in life is either growing or it's dying. And entrepreneurship is no different. I learned a lot from Mario, both directly. However, I think my greatest lessons come indirectly. And to hear him talk about being an employee to now elevating and growing into an entrepreneurship, ownership role, growth also require certain elements, certain nutrients, certain accommodations to allow that growth to continuously happen and flourish at the rate it's supposed to, or that growth won't happen. One thing I want you all to think about as entrepreneurs is that you don't go to work every day, because what you do is a passion. What you go to every day is you build. I've now changed that, saying that I don't work, I build. People be like, why you work so much? I don't work, I build. I'm building an empire. I'm building financial freedom for my family. I'm building generational wealth. I'm building places that our clients will have for generations of memories to be created in the new build construction projects that they have. I'm building relationships with the city of Cumberland. I'm building relationships through new government contracts. We at Tebow, we build. Mario and I, we build. We don't work. So words matter and they mean something. So as these successful entrepreneurs that I know you all are destined to become, wherever you are on your journey, you don't work, employees work. We're not employees, we're entrepreneurs. We build.
And for me, I would say my word would be discipline. It takes a lot of discipline to, as Doc said, to build. Just not having a plan for how you're going to do something, going with the flow, it won't work if you're truly trying to build. So you have to be disciplined with your time, disciplined with your mind, your body, to make sure that you're in the best shape that you can be in so that you can continue to build.
Awesome. Well, that wraps it up. Thank y'all.
Appreciate you, Kay.